Kia ora koutou katoa. Lynley Dodd is one of New Zealand's most well-known crafters of children's literature. And most, if not all of us, have heard of her wee scruffy doggy, one Harry McClary. Part of the enjoyment of her books is her use of rhyme, repetition, alliteration and onomatopoeia, and her deliberate strategy to expose children to such linguistic techniques. So without any further adulty ado, let me introduce you to one of baby Lucas, who's been brought to be baptized today, one of his favourite books. And it's called Harry McClary and Zachery Quack. It was drowsily warm, with dozens of bees lazily buzzing through flowers and trees. Harry McClary decided to choose a space in the shade for his afternoon snooze. He dozily dreamed as he lay on his back when, pittery, pattery, skittery, scattery, zip, around the corner came Zachery Quack, who wanted to frolic and footle and play, but Harry McClary skedaddled away. Over the lawn and asparagus bed went Harry McClary to hide in the shed. He lurked in the shadows all dusky and black. But pittery, pattery, skittery, scattery, zip, around the corner came, yes, you guessed it, Zachery Quack. Out of the garden and into the trees jumped Harry McClary with springs in his knees. He hid in the grass at the side of the track, but pittery, pattery, skittery, scattery, zip, around the corner came that Zachery Quack. Down to the river through willow and reed raced Harry McClary at double the speed. Into the water he flew with a smack. But pittery, pattery, skittery, scattery, zip, around the corner came Zachery Quack, who dizzily dived in the craziest way, whirling and swirling in showers of spray. Oh, Harry McClary, he was off on a flash. A flurry of bubbles, a dog paddle splash. He swam to the side and floundered about. He tried and he tried, but he couldn't climb out, scrabbling upwards and slithering back. When pittery, pattery, skittery, scattery, zip, around came the corner, zip through the water came Zachery Quack, who sped round a corner and, showing the way, led Harry McClary up, up and away. Then, soggy and shivering, back up the track went Harry McClary with Zachery Quack. It was drowsily warm with dozens of bees lazily buzzing through flowers and trees. Harry McClary decided to choose a place in the shade for his afternoon snooze. He dozily dreamed as he lay on his back, tucked up together with Zachery Quack. It's quite a story, isn't it? And well loved by many children and probably their adults who are reading to them. And after multiple reads, as parents and grandparents do, it slowly becomes apparent there's a message for us too. And relax, I won't keep rhyming my way through the rest of the sim. Message. For identifying with Harry McClary, we might be able to think of different, persistent, and somewhat annoying people who have followed around after us. Maybe they just want to say hello. Maybe they want to join in. Maybe they want to be friends. But for whatever reason, we, like Harry, don't want to include them, let alone befriend them. So we avoid them, we run away, hide. Their difference and persistence is a little bit scary. Then sometimes, like in our story, there comes a moment. In Harry's case, he was in deep water and couldn't get out. When the doggedly determined, difficult other, the Zachery Quacks, come into their own and offer us, surprisingly, the help we need. Well, some of us too might identify with Zachary, who likes Harry and wants to play, or maybe become friends. But Harry keeps running away. What should Zach do? Pursue? He is resolute and tenacious in his desire to be included. This is a book like others by Lynley Dodd, where the bigger message is about belonging, community, and faith. We're not all the same. We're different from each other. And this story is about welcoming those who are different, being tolerant, patient, and being surprised at what the different may bring, how they might not only help you but broaden you, even befriend you. And this book too affirms the faith of the Zacharys, their self-confidence that they have something to offer, and their tenacity in proving it and overcoming our resistance. And baptism, the heart of it, is also about belonging, community, and faith. And what, as we grow older, belonging, community, and faith may ask of us. From the beginnings of Christianity, there's been customs of welcoming and baptizing children. Whole households were baptized. For in all the households, especially the weaker and thus more vulnerable members, were included in this ritual of belonging and commitment. Early Jesus communities excluded no one on the basis of age, gender, class, or race. Children, throughout most of recorded history, have been seen as property of their fathers, similar in that sense to women and slaves. It was the father in the ancient Roman world who determined whether a child would live or die. It's estimated that some 20 to 40% of children were either killed or abandoned after birth, with some of the latter, those who were abandoned, living on as slaves. A child was a nobody unless the father accepted him or her within the family. And this is the context of the stories of Jesus welcoming and blessing children. In Mark's Gospel, Jesus takes children in his arms, lays his hand on them, and blesses them. These are the bodily actions of a father designating a newborn infant for life rather than death, for acceptance rather than rejection. Some think there was a debate going on in the early Jesus groups about whether to adopt abandoned children, with some leaders staunchly opposed. Mark aligns Jesus with adoption. Jesus, he says, was good news for children, especially the nobodies. In John's Gospel, written some 80 plus years, could be up to 60 to 80 years after Mark, the author goes a step further than just welcoming children. He includes a story of a young boy who, in response to the hunger of the crowd, offers his 5 barley loaves and 2 fish to help feed them. The incredible thing here is not the multiplication miracle that follows, which is aligning the prophet Jesus with the prophet Elijah, but it's the child who is the catalyst. It is this child who gives up all that he has in order to serve the needs of the many. The child is the exemplar of faith. And it is the disciple Andrew, who doesn't get the starry write-up that his brother Peter does, that recognizes this faith for what it is. The courage to try to make a difference in the face of need. One of the things I love about churches, any church, well, most churches, is that at their best they try not to be a club for the like-minded, but a symbol that all can and do belong, like the little Zachery Quacks. Eccentricity and difference need to be valued, otherwise we might lose them. And then in time and time again, we find those who we might have thought of as Zachary nobodies are like the boy in the loaves and fishes story, not only addressing the needs of the world, but showing us what faith really is. The other thing we know from the beginnings of the Jesus movements and then Christianity is that the rite of baptism has kept changing and evolving. There isn't one right way to do it or to think about it. Consider John the Baptist using this Jewish ritual of baptism to prepare his followers to be underground warriors for the coming war against Rome. Then in contrast, consider Jesus, who baptized no one. Later, baptism would evolve as a rite of cleansing and commitment, off with the old habits and on with the new. Then it would evolve further to emphasize belonging, and then belonging not in an inclusive sense, but in a sense of we belong and you don't. In other words, it was used to exclude. A number of years ago, George Armstrong, the theologian and political activist, wrote a paper on baptism. He understood the water to symbolize the whole world, people, species, plant life, seas, the sky. And the placing of water on a person's head or immersion of their body in some traditions to be both a symbol and a celebration of that child, adults belonging to the whole world, a symbol of their interconnection with all life. And also with the water, there was the hope that this child or person being baptized would in time not only come to value their interconnection with all life, but work to enhance it. That is, to enhance life, care for all life, work for life, protect, fund, and assist those who are vulnerable and suffering, human or other species. Contribute to making a world that's inclusive of all, a world of justice and peace, of dignity and hope. So baptism is both about our belonging, but also our calling. Our prayer this morning for baby Lucas, and indeed for each of us, is that we know afresh we belong, that we are unconditionally loved, and that we live into and encourage others into a high calling of baptism. Take care this week. Every blessing.